Now, the first thing I want to talk about is Skydio, because there was an article, pardon me, I've seen today, which is quite interesting, and it is on Drone XL, is where it is, and they talk about, is Skydio the friend to the commercial operator? And it's something I've been thinking a little bit about, actually, and the fact that we still don't have Skydio over here in Europe, the UK. In many ways, the Skydio is a vaporware product for UK and European users. Yes, there are two products available. We've got the Skydio 2 and we've got the X2. And, let's be clear. The X2 is it's not really a commercial drone. It is part of the Blue UAS program, specifically designed really for governmental and military applications. And whilst I think they have sort of in the early days marketed it towards commercial operators, I think now it's not a commercial operator drone. So the only real commercial operator drone Skydio make, in my opinion right now, in the sense of something that the average Part 107 is going to buy, is the S2. Okay, so that's where I think they are at today. And you got to look at, is Skydio friend or foe, or friend or enemy to the commercial operator? And you've got to look at this from what they're trying to do. Now, as I said, from a European point of view, this product is vaporware. It basically doesn't exist. And I don't mean it's renderings and it'll never happen. We know this product is available. People are buying it. We don't know what the numbers are that are buying this in real world. But what we know is it is available in limited quantities in the US. In the UK, Europe, it's a pipe dream right now, which isn't going to happen. But the interesting thing with the Skydio 2, especially, is what they have pushed it for is the automation. And they've pushed it for this clever, intelligent flight, automated flight, flying around objects, doing stuff for you. So much so, as I've said, there's been a little bit of hoo-ha on Twitter, in the sense of they've really been up in the ante in some of their tweets and stuff against DJI specifically, and I've had a few comments on a few of them, and I don't particularly like the angle they're taking on Twitter. I think they're being a bit punchy, and I think you're better letting the product speak for itself. But when you break this down, what they are offering is a product that is by far the best autonomous drone out there, hands down. That is not up for debate here. It is the best autonomous drone in the market. It is by far the cleverest intelligent system. It is proper object tracking in the sense of the way it uses those 4K cameras on all of the arms. It is leagues ahead. 3 cameras, 6 cameras in total through the. It is leagues ahead. But if you look at what they're actually trying to do from a commercial operator point of view, they are very much looking at taking the pilot out of the equation. And everything they're doing is about making it automated, making it simpler to fly, but very much that you don't need a trained or qualified pilot to actually do it. And you can really see this from the really early videos. And I haven't racked this one up. I'll come off that a second. But one of the very early reviews of this, the guy with the motorbike who took it out over the hills and mountain areas, and there was one piece of footage in that where the aircraft avoided a post, or it swung around to avoid a post. But what it actually did was swung around, avoided the post over someone's private property. And it actually flew up like over someone's front garden or back garden, I think it was, and then proceeded to fly off. And whilst this was extremely impressive, it opens up a lot of questions around this technology. And those questions are, yes, it's autonomous. Yes, we know it's able to do stuff, but it's then doing stuff that you wouldn't ordinarily do. You wouldn't ordinarily fly your drone over someone's front garden. So you're starting then to see some drawbacks of the system and some behavior that the automated products perhaps need to emphasize more, in the sense of, yes, it can fly itself, but where does it stand when it's starting to go over we know you can fly over someone's airspace, that's different, but still you wouldn't intentionally just fly across someone's front garden, just like you wouldn't intentionally drive into someone's street and turn your car around in their front lawn. That was very much what the aircraft did. And this is where it all gets quite interesting. And if you look at Skydio's marketing, as I've said, let's bring that image back up. They have been very much pushing this automated setup. So much so, they showed the footage of their Skydio Dock. This product that you would put onto your building site. You would autonomously control the drone from a remote location anywhere, and every day it would fly out, take images of the site, go back into its box, download those images, automated, and you would do that from anywhere. And really what they are doing here is actually saying that the pilot isn't necessary or is the dangerous part of the system. So much so that they are really marketing themselves in this to be the all-in-one solution. You don't need the pilot because our system will do it all for you. And it's very easy to argue in this that Skydio are actually working against commercial operators. And their business plan is to actually make commercial operators redundant. So it's an interesting position that they're in. And it makes you wonder where all of this is going to end up. Now, when the S2 first of all released, it was marketed everywhere, you know, as the next best drone. We know the volumes of sales are not massive, simply because they can't produce enough of them. Sales appear to have been good and people are still getting their pre-orders now. There's people on RC groups, the Facebook groups, all going. But I don't see them going out in great numbers to general users. You know, if you actually look on YouTube, and I did this earlier on purpose actually, I've done a search for Skydio. And I've done a search for DJI Mavic. And the reason I've done Mavic is I wanted to narrow down most popular drone from DJI. You know, the Skydio is very much in that territory as well. And if we just have a look at how many videos have been uploaded in the last couple of days, you know, at the top of the list, and this is dated latest backwards, basically. So, let me put myself up. You can see we've got this one, a question someone's put up 4 hours ago. When are they going to sell it in other countries? You know, we all want to know that. There's the drone news video from Drone U, which was 8 hours ago, again talking about Skydio promoting unsafe flight, and this is really where I'm driving this conversation today. Skydio 2 fall in Kentucky 17 hours ago. Skydio 2 Droney, 19 views. Not sure what that one is. That's an interesting name. And then with 21 hours, someone in the woods. Now, if you look at these videos, they're all very much just a guy being followed on a bike, which is all very nice. I think we'll take a look at one of these in a minute, actually, to see what they're like. Walk through woods. I think we'll take a look at that one as well. But, you know, there's nothing great here. You know, there's some interesting videos, don't get me wrong. The view counts are certainly very low. You know, you're not getting someone doing an unboxing. Lucky man. September man has finally received his Skydio. Lucky boy. So there is some stuff coming out, but if we look at it compared to the DJI, you can see that there's 3 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours. There's tons of videos, which we would expect. Okay, let's not pretend we wouldn't. It is what we would expect to see. But my point on this is there's nothing here that's really making me think, and I'm going to put this up because I'm interested to have a look at this one myself, actually. There's nothing really here that makes you think, you know, lots of people are using it, lots of people are flying it, it's being used, you know, by large amounts of people. Now, this is quite interesting, because this guy's obviously on a motorbike, he's following down the road. Obviously having to keep looking back to check it's still there, because you're always going to be wanting to do that. Certainly a lot of trees, you know, it's certainly... It's interesting. Did you see that then? You know, now that's very reminiscent of what the DJI system does when it's tracking. That it's moving in and out as it's trying to lock on. You know, as good as the tracking is, this is not cinematic footage. by any means. And let's look at the line. That drone then, let me just drop back. You know, if we just go back on that, I just want to show you, you know, if you look at where that aircraft is at that point, I'm going to pause it there. The aircraft's obviously just over the line because perspective comes in. But again, it's that autonomous flying where it wants to go, not where you want it to necessarily go. You know, you wouldn't be able to do this in the UK. It would be completely illegal. Oh, it's avoided that tree there. Very impressive the way it does do it. Let's be honest. But it isn't cinematic, is it? I don't know. I could be wrong. Let me. You know, I don't know what you guys think. It's yeah, that's quite. You know, there's no question this isn't impressive. Let's be honest. But it's not. You know, that's not much different to what DJI will do. I'm not. It wouldn't do this. Okay, that is impressive. But now look at it. It lost him. It's come round. It's over the top of him, looking down. Now, has he done that? Has he moved it in front of him? I think he has. I think he's done that. Okay. And then it's come back up behind him again. Still flying through the trees. Oh, we got that one here. Down. Yeah, you know, it is very nice. But it's still not... I'm just not convinced it's great footage. Really, more than anything. Then gentleman pulls over and that's the end of the video. So, yeah, you know, there's videos on YouTube. There's tons on there as well. But, you know, obviously we're not seeing the same numbers of them on YouTube or anywhere else. And especially, I'm not seeing commercial operators running out to get it. Now, there is a couple of reasons for that. It still is a small 12-megapixel sensor. It isn't good enough. And whilst you can use a Mavic 2 Pro, for instance, with that 1-inch sensor for doing commercial work, you could use a Skydio 2. They're certainly not going to be doing the kind of work that an Inspire 2 does and things like that. But you know, when you go through all of this and you look at what Skydio's plan is, they are very much driving a product which is designed to take a pilot out of the mix. And the reality is they aren't really offering any solution for commercial operators and really are very much working against them right now. Or their plan or their long-term goal means the end of a Part 107 pilot or commercial drone operator. And it isn't, you know, it's an interesting position that they're marketing themselves in. And I do wonder, you know, where this is all going to end up and whether Skydio could even end up pulling out of the commercial, the domestic drone market. You know, the X2 is not aimed at commercial operators. It's you know, if I'm a commercial operator in the UK, if I was in the US, you know, the old 333-107, I wouldn't be able to just go out and buy one of them. They're not going to talk to me. That, I believe, is the case. You know, they will sell it to who they want to sell it to. And the S2 is certainly not the perfect product for doing the normal kind of work. And when all of their marketing is about providing autonomous drone systems that actually take me out of the equation, and rather, as I said on this site here, you know, we got this video where, you know, their drone is, you know, on site, it's got a nice little black box and it's going to do what it's stuff all the time. And it's, yeah, you know, I wouldn't be in a job. Yes, Mark, I have. Yeah, they're looking to put commercial drone pilots out of a job. Now, it's easy to say, but yeah, that commercial drone pilot then is going to sit in an office somewhere. But the reality is, they're not going to do that. They're going to put lower skilled labour in. And, you know, me, Gary, Bruce, we've all spoke about this lots of times, that in the end, the pilot will be taken out and the drone will do everything itself. But Skydio are really pushing that along. So, you know, it is an interesting position. And tell me what you guys think. You know, when you look at the evidence, right now, Skydio are not working with commercial operators, and they're very much working, or their plan is to exclude them altogether. That's where their plan is at. You know, they've certainly got this industrial X2 model, which is for government. You know, it's on the blue UAS list. You know, so it's not going to be available to anyone and everyone. They're going to be making enough of them just to cover that blue UAS, and I'm not even sure they're going to be able to keep up with that demand. And the Skydio 2 isn't the perfect product. Now, does that mean they might not bring a product out? No. You know, we could see something to compete with the Inspire 2 tomorrow, but the reality is their overall goal and their overall game plan is to remove the pilot from the situation and let the drone do the talking and let the drone do the work, and then the person on the ground simply becomes a guy able to press a button and tell it to do what it needs to do. But let me know your thoughts on that, guys, while I'm going to grab myself a drink from here, first of all, and catch up with the chat. I'm just going to go back up a little bit. Actually, go back up quite a lot. Catching up on the chat, guys. Let's have a look. DJ, a lot easier to buy. You are agreed. DJ, much easier to spell. Bruce, yes. To issue in the UK. Yeah, that's an interesting point, Types. So Types has said, if it avoids a poll and then takes a cruise over the government area in the US, who's responsible? And that, you know, it very much did that in that first video I saw. Fly through people's gardens. This neighbor built a 2 meter. And the walls of fortress. Yeah, you know, Jibber Jabber makes a point about it being uncrashable. No drone is uncrashable. And they were silly to put that in the marketing. Waste of Rob Rowe, waste of money, one trick pony. I can crash without trying, as can I, Bruce. Wait for the A2 CFC. Let's fly. You only need the odd 3 seconds. 9 grams, 25 watching. Yeah, welcome aboard, everyone. You get the Bruce, interesting point Bruce is making. You could get this exact footage from a GoPro on a kite towed behind the bike for a lot less money. Yeah, and actually, you know, and this is where that gets interesting. If you look at that bike footage we just showed, that would look very good from about 10 foot back, but ridiculously dangerous and illegal to do. So this is the problem. You know, footage at 40 foot up doesn't really excite anyone. What would be better is stabilized footage off the bike behind. They are like hen's teeth to get. Stimulates poor pilot. DJ could make one that would wipe the floor with it. But the Roblo, yeah, you know, I do think, you know, people have said, you know, why aren't DJI competed with this? I do think they have taken a certain attitude toward autonomous flight. And they've had this attitude for quite a long time. If you actually look back, they were very reluctant to bring all of the autonomous options to the Phantom 3, and they brought in the SDK for that, which is where Litchi and all of those apps came from. You know, those apps grew out of DJI allowing other companies to offer third-party software that worked with their drones. DJI did implement basic features, POI, but there's no proper waypoints in that. Now, they have changed that with the pilot app and this new software, but they have been very cautious on that. Very, very cautious. And always have. It's still to this day. The third-party apps, you know, you had Litchi grow up, you had Drone Deploy was another big one in the early days for autonomous stuff, as was the other one I've got. I can't remember what it's called now, actually. So they have been very careful not to just go all out and give you everything, you know. Jeff Taylor, Scary. Good evening, Jeff. Hope you are well. Skynet moves ever closer. They can't make enough. No, agreed, they can't. I'll be sticking to jobs where I have to take the photo then. Equivalent of a self-checkout at the supermarket. Vodka and orange. I'd buy the fly. I reckon only Parrot can build enough. Yeah, it is interesting. And, you know, it's where do Skydio end up with this is the real interesting question. Is where do, and I'm just going to check in on Facebook while I'm here, just to see if it's actually working, because I forgot to do that. And if there is anyone watching on Facebook, hello. Oh, we're definitely on. I'll bring the comments up just in case. It never tells me on this software if anyone is watching. But it is interesting. So I think, you know, from my point of view, from a commercial operator point of view, from a Part 107, you know, let's just say this was available today in the UK. Skydio are not offering anything that I need as a commercial operator, but also, would I want to put money as a commercial operator into a product and company who are working to make me redundant in the future? Now, we can probably argue that aspect is inevitable. I do think that is the case. You know, I think we all agree at some point the pilot, but none of us want to push that along. You know, none of us want to be the people who do push that along. Bruce, how long before they make one of the big defense companies simply make Skydio current stakeholders? Yeah, I do wonder what the long-term plan is, because, you know, I think you have to be very fair to them. They've delivered an outstanding product. There's no question about that. I think the big problem is that they can't actually deliver on that, in the sense of they can't make enough. I think from what I've seen, their production line is highly manual, but they can change that in short periods of time. I think they're probably struggling from a component point of view right now, access to parts. I think many companies are. And when you have the likes of DJI, you can just buy up all parts on the shelf. We're just taking them all. We're just taking everything for the next 6 months. You know, it's going to be very hard for them to move forward. And now they've got the X2, which is one of the Blue UAS, alongside Parrot and a few others. And if you look at them, I think the Skydio and the Parrot are the two lower level models of the Blue UAS. I think they are at the lower end of the scale. So it does make you wonder where they will end up. You know, Gary said to get bought out is the plan. I think you're probably right. I do think. There's no question their technology is years ahead of everyone else's on this. But I'm not convinced it's the right technology for the commercial drone market specifically. But it's interesting. It is very interesting. Now, as for what's going to happen in the UK, we still can't buy this. I still can't order one. I still can't get one. Gary, I know, had someone who was going to send him one. Or has an order in, I believe. Is that coming anytime soon, Gary? Lower end. Yeah. Just waiting for Gary. It is interesting, you know. I don't know what their plan with Europe is, and the X2 complicated that, because if you now look, they've got two production lines, and the X2 is the one they're going to build over everything else, because that's the money. You know, let's be honest. With the S2 being $1,000, $999, you know, if we just bring it up, where is it? So what is it? Reserve now for $100. So I can give them $100 and reserve one. But it's $999, which is the starter kit, which is obviously just the drone. Yes. So the starter kit is just the drone and the beacon, I think it is, isn't it? So what do we get? No, it's just the drone, is it? Is that the beacon? I can't see. Does it say what we get? Oh, here we go. Sorry, Skydio 2 warranty batteries, wall adapter. Yes. No, so the drone is $999 on its own. It's been a while since I've looked at this myself, actually. So where's the beacon on the list? So there's the Pro Control. Oh, yeah, there's the beacon. So the standard drone is $999, and that's smartphone control at that point. You've then got the next pack up, which is $1,499, which they call the sports pack, which includes extras, including the dual charger, a micro SD card, and a beacon. You know, so you're not even getting an SD card in the basic kit for $999. So it's $1,400. So at minimum, it's $1,400. That's the very basic kit. You cannot say it's $999. DJI have never sold a drone without a remote controller that I can recall. Just make sure I am saying this right. Okay. Tello. Ignore that, because that was sort of, it was DJI, but it was to the side. The Tello didn't have a remote controller. Oh no, the Spark. Spark didn't have a remote at the box. You had to buy it as an extra. So, sorry, that's completely wrong. They've never sold a drone for $999 without a remote controller. I'd probably be right in saying that. Jibber Jabber, you got there at the same time as me. Yeah, to think then. So, yeah, you know, so $999 is getting us that. Put myself back up in the corner. I know you guys want to see me. So, and okay, look, for 1,500 quid, you're getting 3 batteries. It's like the Fly More kit from DJI. It's fairly well priced. But then, or obviously the cinema pack, you get all with the joystick controller and Pro hard case. So if we were to say reserve now, how much are they charging for just the remote controller? You can't add it at this point, then, can you? Let's just have a look. Skydio X2. No, you can't. Oh, $179. So, at minimum, if you wanted it with the remote or the beacon, it's an additional $179. So, 1179. Pardon me. It's been a long day. 1179. As Type said. So, you know, okay, it's not terrible. Let's be fair on that. But you can't buy it anyway. So I still can't buy it. Still can't get it over here. Still can't. Just gonna check in on the chat again, guys. Let's just have a look. Fake news. If you could, it would be amazing balls, but only as a few seconds at a time, I think. Let's have a look. Oh, there's Gary saying there. You can't get it all 3D. Yeah, it's like gigs of stuff. You can get a few seconds worth, I believe. Fake news. Spark in the beginning. Yeah, that's right. It's the Anafi one. It's the Anafi controller, but it's not the same system in the sense of it is Wi-Fi, but it's their own protocol. So you can't buy a used Anafi controller and use it on the Skydio. But it is basically the Anafi hardware, as I understand it, or at least the external shell, and I suspect it's the main PCB as well is the same. But you cannot go and buy a used Anafi controller. It's different firmware. You can't upload their firmware. We don't 100% know the differences, but there are some differences. Yeah, or collaboration. Yeah, I think they're probably, you know, and there is a tie-in between Parrot and Skydio. It's no coincidence. Both products, on the blue UAS, are Skydio and Parrot, and actually, could Skydio be manufacturing the Anafi USA for Parrot? That, I think, would be an interesting one to dig a little bit deeper into. I wouldn't be shocked if Skydio are doing the assembly for them as well in the USA. I could be wrong, but there's quite a tie-up here. I would buy one to test. Would I keep it? Probably not. So Big A is asked, so hands up, if it was available in the UK, would I own it? Okay, 1 second. Let me just get down the trusty Mavic 2, which has been stuck in its case for longer than it should be, really. I haven't flown much recently because of everything going on at home. I have to say that, but let me get her out. Second. I'm going to take her out this week on my remote controller. Let's get it down. Parrot making for Skydio. Other way around. So Parrot are manufacturing the X2. Yes, well, that did happen. I can't deny that, Bruce. Let me just move some things around. Okay, so Skydio 2. If it was available today, would I buy it? Okay. Yeah, I have flown it a little bit, but nothing fantastic, Mark. I always, like, thousands of batteries. There's about 200 batteries in this room that I cycle. White powder, saw the evidence. White powder, what white powder? I was covered in white powder. We all know what Deadpool thinks of white powder. Do some stuff. What, with the drone? The S2 versus the Mavic 2 Pro. Same 0.5 or 0.3 inch sensor as the Mavic Pro. Great image, 1 inch sensor. It's got object avoidance that works enough for me. It has, I will jibber jabber. It has great footage overall. Its form factor is fantastic, and it does one thing that the Skydio doesn't do that I love, which is this. It folds. And whilst, yes, the Skydio isn't massive, the Skydio cannot do that. And for me, that is a pretty big deal breaker. Now, would I be willing to give up folding and a 1 inch sensor to have that autonomous flight? I would probably sell the Mavic 2 Pro to try it, but I wouldn't end up keeping it because I never go anywhere that I need a drone to follow me through woodland. If I need a drone to follow me around a field, that can do it. If I need a drone to follow me down a track, that would roughly do it. The one occasion I would need it. Would I be willing to give up everything that the Mavic 2 Pro has? 1 inch sensor, Hasselblad image color, 100 megabits a second, H.265, which I think the other one can do, fold-in design, good battery life, a system I know how to use. And that is where I'm at. And I just don't see what Skydio bring to the table that can't do. So for me as a current owner, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't instantly think I'm selling DJI for a Skydio 2. If I was in the ballpark of thinking, well, I'm going to buy one or the other up front, which one would I go with? I may lean towards the Skydio to have something different. I might do that. I might do that. If I could get one in the UK, I would buy one to try. 100%. I'd love to try it out. I'm desperate to get one on the channel, but I can't do it. There's nothing I can do about that right now. But I still think, as a user and as someone who wants a product to do a job, for instance, as a commercial operator, I'd buy this because it's the 1 inch sensor and I can get great images from it. As a hobby user, I might lean towards the Skydio. I might. Catching up on the comments. Right, you're talking about me now. Let me go back. Other way around. Gary, he hasn't flown because of the police turn-up. Yes, that is correct. Do some stuff. Jibber Jabbers, tell us the story of the police. Crossing the border with black snow. You're not trying hard enough. Fold decision, hard landing. Wait, there will be a firmware update. Then it will fold at least once. Right, okay. Does everything on site keeps our flies, lands, uploads data? Doesn't need to fold away. Yeah, well, it would for me. I'm on the edge of international data lines. No spyware from the Skydio perspective of marketing. Okay, let's address the spyware spying. That's offline. I can fly that with my Crystal Sky, which isn't online anytime. There's no spying. It can't communicate. I can come home, put my phone. I can use a dedicated tablet. I control my data. I don't need to put that online. That aircraft has not been connected online for over a year. In fact, it's not even on the latest firmware. I didn't even update it to the latest one DJI put out. I just didn't feel I needed to. And I couldn't be bothered to get it off the shelf in any rush to do it. that aircraft will work today. I can connect it to a phone, which is tablet, which is completely offline. You know, I don't need to go online with them. He's a day ahead, so he's already watched the stream and knows what happens, I think. Let's have a look. Hang on, we could use that for no spyware from Skymark. Hold on, we could use that for betting. He cheats. He's a day ahead, so he's already watched the stream. He knows what happens. Bruce Einstein, yes. Big A, thanks your goodness. I've just reasoned in the DJ market. Yeah, I think if you break down the two aircraft, Skydio has the autonomous advantage, hands down. If that's really important to you, buy the Skydio 2. If having a product that isn't Chinese is important to you, buy the Skydio 2. If you want a product that's probably the best overall package, it gets a lot more complicated. And as I'm used to DJI gear, I would lean on that. Updates for spying. I've got a login for DJI, which gives me access to all sorts of stuff as well. I don't know if that still works, actually. I'll have to try that one. Can't talk about that one. That's firmware which generally doesn't exist. I always get the spying comment when anyone sees FPV system. Yeah, people will accuse you of spying anyway. What about the Panasonic box camera? Which one is that? Which are you talking about? The new release? Preloads envelope. We send it off to China every weekend. That's okay, isn't it? Yeah, it's easier to do it that way, Bruce. So anyway, that's Skydio. I've given them 45 minutes of free advertising on my channel. Look at that. Whether they class it as positive advertising or not, I don't know. To summarize the Skydio situation, you know, is Skydio a friend or foe? Well, I think for commercial operators, it's very much that, with regards to what their future plans is. For consumers, I think they're a friend and they're making a great product and I want to play with one. I want one in the UK. I want to take it. I want to try it. I want to play with it. There's some really interesting design choices on it. I think it's got some cool features, great product, one of the most interesting companies out there. But wind your marketing team's neck in a little bit, please, on Twitter. I do think they're being a little bit silly and it's not doing Skydio any favors.